When we stand at the gates and look at the gates, we start to understand just how unique we are. It's like our fingerprint. No one else has the same fingerprints as us in the world. Same with our energy. And these little numbers that are scattered everywhere on a human design chart seem insignificant. However, they they are the cellular network almost of how our energy is designed. Okay, it's all these little activation of gates that create the channels that create the centers that we have defined or not. Okay, so let's have a look at these gates. This knowledge comes from an ancient Chinese scripture, which is called the I Ching, and it is 64 gates, 64 descriptions of the human attributes. And of the 64 gates, there are also, per gate, there are six different flavors or um, themes of that gate. So just with that information alone tells you that where your energy is placed, these gates that are active in your chart, and then the line number associated to them, 1 out of 6, you start looking very, very unique. 20% of the world are projectors, 70% of the world are generators. But as we look at the gates, we're like, oh yeah, I might be a projector. There might be other 2-4 projectors. There might be other splenic projectors that are 2-4 profiles, but we we won't have, when once we get to the gates, we don't have the same. It's very unlikely to have the same. Well, our planetary, our placements of our gates are all unique. So let's have a look. Um, all these numbers on the chart that are activated in the centers, they're either dark, bold, black, or not. If they're bold, that means they're active. So out of the 64 gates, these lists on the left and right are the gates that I have active in my chart. I'm just going to go over the difference for a moment. So on the right hand side, this is what we call the conscious personality. These attributes to do with us, these gates and their attributes, these are what we may have conscious awareness around. So if I look into gate 46 and understand its theme, I may resonate like, oh yeah, I see that within me. Versus on the design side, which is to do with the gates that were imprinted in your body, like whilst you were still in the womb, okay, and they represent the subconscious, the the unconscious, the body. So this is the body or your design, and this is the personality or your mind, okay. And so when I look at gate 15, for example, and look at the theme, understand the theme of gate 15, it may not resonate consciously with me, again, because these gates sit on the conscious side. So we sort of have to build an understanding of these gates if we get that deep into our experiment, okay? Um, I personally don't go deep into all the gates unless I'm doing a reading, and then I'll look into the gate and the line. Some gates I have worked, like I have spent a lot of time with, especially the ones that are in my own design. And then when I do readings and they come up over and over again, I've more resonance and experience with going deep into these lines. But there are so many other components in the chart, and for me personally, human design simplified, I'm here to simplify it. So I might not go into all the detail of your gates and your planets and your lines and all of that. I might just give you the synthesized, like, here's how to turn the light bulb on, like here's the light switch, turn it on type of information, rather than breaking down all the nuts and bolts of a design. So yeah, if you I'm not someone who reads really technically to somebody who doesn't really know human design. Anyway, back to the gates. So the gates that are active in our chart, right, they're either going to be black or they're going to be red. Black if it's on the personality side, the mind side, if it's our conscious awareness, or red if it's in our body, in our unconscious, in our design. All right. Now, as I mentioned before in the centers video, when two gates are active on either side of a, you know, when they form a channel, right? Like 64 and 47 form a channel. But I've only got the 63 active in my head, not the gate number 4, therefore no channel. And when these gates don't have the corresponding gate or mate, it's called a hanging gate. And they're hanging out for their mate, right? So 64, 47, they're paired up for life, and they've created energy and a constant flow of energy with this channel. Gate 16, however, does not have its mate. And so for the duration of my life, it's going to be hanging out for its mate. Now, let me explain this a little bit clearly. When we come into contact with other people, we can access the energy around this gate, especially projectors, because of our aura is designed to absorb. Manifestors and that, like, will still have, like, notice the energy, but manifestors, for example, your aura is more repellent, so you may not. Also, the placements of the planets in the sky and what they're doing, because all of these gates are connected to planets, which we're going to go through in the next class. Depending on planet placements in the sky and where they're moving and their potency, we've got what we call transits that we can watch in human design. And so every 7 days, these gates are transiting through the sun, and so their theme becomes more potent, and we can access that energy on those days. So if I'm near somebody or this gate is transiting, it will give me that access to the energy of gate 48, thus forming the channel, and therefore me being able to access that energy for that time being while I'm around the person who has gate 48, or while that planetary activation is potent up in the sky. All right, so that's just a little side note there. But yeah, every gate has 6 different variations. So there's gate 16.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6. Because this is belonging to my conscious side, if I come down to my conscious personality, I can find gate 16.1. And then also, this gate 16 is sitting in my Jupiter, right? And this is all about laws and expansion, growth, rewards, blessings, a lot to do with how I, integrity and how I guide myself. So when we start to take the theme of the planet, the gate itself, and the I Ching meaning, or the gate meaning, and then layer over the line, it starts to paint this picture. And so how I read in human design, as I am able, my design is designed to take complex systems, multi-layered systems, and then simplify them. So I may look at all of that really quickly, intuitively, of course, and then spit out like, here, this is what you need to know, so that it gets into the body, not into the mind, right? So, yeah, so gate 16.1, this is the gate of skills, and it's hanging, it doesn't have its mate, so it's all alone in this life. And the theme is 16.1, which is a keynote of, skills, but with delusion, right? That's the keynote. So the expression of talent through daydreaming. And I do daydream a lot, right? Deeply. And on the flip side, it can also, when maybe not so healthy, the tendency to express fantasy, all those daydreams, as facts. So, it gives these themes. Now, let's look at a couple of gates where they are connected, all right? So, gate 18 and gate 58. So, this forms the channel of judgment, okay? Gate 18 is the gate of correction. And gate 58 is the gate of vitality. All right. And so I know these gates very well because they're in my chart and I've looked at them, read on them, felt into them logically and intuitively for years and years and years. So, so long story short, gate 18 is like looks at what's wrong and what's incorrect and what doesn't work. And then gate 58 is the energy to like make it better, like provide the solution. So together it can see the gaps and then provide a solution on its own. Like just gate 18 is just, as the energy of just looking at what's wrong with no solution. Just having gate 58 would be looking at how to better things, but not knowing why, perhaps, without gate 18. But in my case, I've got both, so I have the ability to see what needs improving and then present solutions when invited as a projector. That's just for me as a projector, or if you're a generator and you have this channel, when you have, when there's something to respond to, then you can provide that feedback, right? So as a projector or as a being, right, I'm going to get into this when we get into channels, but these are forever. These channels are, I've got that constant energy. These centers are active for the entirety of my life. Just like these centers that are white are not active for the entirety of my life. And for the entirety of my life, I will continue to absorb the energy of those centers from other people. And it's always a dance to learn how to manage that, how to clear out, recharge, and stay me, stay Jade, right? So it's really important on this journey that we know how to keep our energy clear, keep our aura, our ahua clear, and to manage our energy, and to know when it's not us versus, when we might be around a lot of people, we're absorbing energy, and knowing how to bring ourselves back to our natural state. So that's the gates, and that's how unique we are. I'll see you on the next one.